The boss introduced.
Oh, by the way, when he gets through talking, I want you to buy one of his books. That's why I want. That's what I really want to say.
I got one.
Thank you. Wow. I appreciate that, Charles, Congressman. I ain't gonna be long, and I can get long-winded sometimes, but I just wanted to say that this book is a tale of two people. One was a tennis player who had dreams and aspirations of going to college and becoming the next Arthur Ashe. Those aspirations and dreams got derailed when it was discovered that he couldn't read or write. He went from that, wanting to be Arthur Ashe, the philanthropist, and the great man that Arthur Ashe was, breaking down color barrels, fighting for civil rights, to wanting to be Superfly. I don't know how many of y'all remember the movie Superfly. You might not be old enough.
Hey man, you in Cincinnati, man. You better know something. You better know about somebody around. You're in Cincinnati.
Speak on it though.
What I also didn't know is that I was using a source that was unknown to me called the art of what you think about, you will get. One day my friend called me and he introduced me to cocaine for the first time. When he introduced me to it, I didn't have enough money to get started in the business. But I wanted to get started bad after I had saw it. And I felt that I had the opportunity to accomplish one of my dreams. Well, I started in the drug business with $125. I took that $125 and I turned it over and over and over and over and over, and I saved every penny that I made off of those drugs, and I reinvested it back into my business until I started to make $200 a day. Then I started to make $300 a day. Then I started to make $5,000 a day. For me, it was unbelievable. I thought I was living the Superfly dream, but it didn't stop there. I started to make $50,000 a day. Then I started to make $200,000 every single day. It went on until I was making sometimes $3 million in one day. And I had days, for 2 years, I made at least $1 million every day. And I'm not bragging about selling the drugs. What I would like for you to try to do is take the drugs out the equation and think about if somebody would have caught this 18-year-old kid. Because see, what I was able to do when I was in prison, when I started writing this book, I had to come out of myself. See, I couldn't write this book and be me. I couldn't be me when I wrote this book. Because I was a humble, shy kid that stayed in the background and nobody recognized. See, he didn't want nobody to see who he really was. So when I wrote this book, I came out of myself and I analyzed the whole situation from start to finish. Also, when I was in prison, there was a lot of young kids, 18, 19 years old, that would come up to me, because I was considered a old head when I was in prison. I was about 33, 34. And most of the kids that was in prison with me was 18, 19, 20 years old. So they would come to me and they would explain to me their situation in selling drugs. And most of them would say, well, Rick, I sold drugs, but I never made $1,000. And what I figured out is the reason that they didn't make $1,000 is because nobody had ever taught them how to sell drugs. See, I got so rich because once I learned what I was doing, I started teaching all of my friends. Everybody that I went to high school with, everybody I went to junior high school with, I taught them all. I wasn't like a lot of people. When they get the information, they keep it to themselves. They hoard it. I was totally the opposite. I wanted for my brother, what I wanted for myself. Well, what I did is taught myself to read and write while I was in prison. I had a life sentence without the possibility of parole. My lawyer wouldn't take my case. He told me to take the last of my money because I was going to need it to buy commissary, because I had a long time to be in prison. Well, after I taught myself to read and write, I started studying the law. I went from being illiterate to walking in the courtroom feeling as if I was the smartest person in the courtroom. I first started telling my lawyer what he should be doing. Then it went to telling my judge and then the prosecutor of my case. They all disagreed with me. I went to the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeal, and the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeal agreed with my theory of the case and reversed my case. I still wound up doing 20 years in prison, but that was a lot better than life.
Yeah.
Before I left prison, I read over 300 books. I read the Wall Street Journal every day. I read the LA Times, New York Times whenever I could get it, and the USA, and the Daily Investment. What I did is I had learned from the drug business. The reason I was so good at selling drugs is because I had became a drug expert. I knew more about drugs than anybody else around me. So what I decided is that I have to get in any business that I go into, that I have to be an expert. That I have to be the best at whatever it is that I'm doing. I also wanted to bless other young men that I saw struggling not only in the drug business, but just in life in general. Going through life not really understanding how to accomplish the things in life that they wanted to. That's why I wrote this book. This book was written when I still had my life sentence without the possibility of parole, and this was supposed to be my letter back to the community. In hope that this would repair some of the damage that I've done. Since I've been home, I've been going around the country talking to young people, colleges, high schools, wherever they allow me, jails, whenever I can get in, and try to teach them what I've learned about myself. I've had some pretty good success since I've been home. Last year I was nominated for an Emmy Award for a TV show, a documentary that I produced. I had another TV show picked up by BET. My book right now, I'm approaching close to 30,000 books sold. I spoke at some of the biggest universities in this country. Brown University, Stanford. I spoke at Stanford at a class that they only let 30 of the smartest kids at Stanford attend. I was fortunate enough to sit down, speak with them, have lunch with them, and I got paid.
Nice, that's good.
Which was the good part. I spoke at USC Law School. I spoke at a criminal justice class at UCLA. I also spoke at the auditorium in Louisville, Kentucky. St. John University, I spoke there. I've done all this without even a high school diploma or a GED. But I saw myself doing these things while I was still in prison. I saw myself standing in front of my community, just like I am right now. It's crazy. They got an article in the LA magazine that a reporter wrote while I was in prison. If you ever get a chance, look it up online. It's a hell of an article. They paid this guy like $20,000 to write this article, so it's not a chump article. I also was featured in GQ magazine. No, not GQ, Esquire. I was featured in Esquire magazine.
You like to sing it too, ain't you?
You got to sing?
I do a little singing.
Don't be waiting on the sing though.
All right. I'm gonna end right here. I was featured in Esquire magazine, the one that
You done sang one of these folks.
I was featured in Esquire magazine, the one that had Obama on, I was a featured story for the 80th anniversary. So I'm just saying that I ain't gonna be long. I'm gonna end right here. Thank you. But my book is really important to our people. I believe if you ever wanted to know what happened in the crack era to us, what's happening with our young people right now, post-traumatic slave syndrome is real. They're really making our kids feel that they dumb, that they stupid, that they drug dealers, that they pimps, that they thugs. Joy Degree. Yeah. So I just finished reading that book, and that book really opened my eyes even more to who I was and what I did. Thank y'all for your time.